You're watching 7 News on your side at 12:30 p.m.
Well, since the start of President Trump's second term, we've seen a significant reduction in the number of federal workers at the hands of DOGE. And it remains to be seen what long-term impacts this will have on agencies. But we're already seeing how DOGE has led to a big shift in the local real estate market. The listing service Bright MLS reports almost 40% of buyer and seller agents in the region worked with clients in May whose decisions were driven by federal government layoffs and cuts. And joining us now is Corey Burr with TTR Sotheby's International Realty. Corey, thank you so much for being with us here on 7 News at noon.
My pleasure.
And first, talk to us about this trend. The report highlights, what are you seeing in the local regional real estate market right now based on this?
Well, this was inevitable. It is such a huge change in what the government has been over the decades in Washington as a primary employer, and to have that cut down in a drastic manner very quickly is going to have a ripple effect through many industries. It's actually amazing that our market is staying as resilient as it has been. Prices in the District of Columbia, the median prices were down about 5% between April and May. But given that the Federal Reserve has been increasing interest rates now for over 3.25 years, it's truly amazing that we're doing as well as we have been.
That is very interesting. And, Corey, describe for us, in this case, the typical seller. The article says these are high-income sellers. And to build on that, the type of home that is still selling right now, as you say, in this resilient market.
Well, amazingly, a $19 million house just went under contract in Northwest Washington.
Wow.
A couple days ago. And larger houses in the best condition, priced reasonably in the great locations, best neighborhoods, those are still seeing very good action. But the meat and potatoes houses all around the region are just facing much more pressure. Buyers are being much more selective. They're not rushing into properties like they had to do during the COVID years. And it's really the best opportunity for buyers in the last 5 years, since 2019, to try to get great price negotiation and concessions from the seller on other terms and provisions.
That is very interesting. So it's shifting from just that big COVID era housing market we saw to more of a buyer's market. Now you're saying, and Corey, the article, this kind of builds on what you just mentioned there. The article says, quote, the trend, it's putting downward pressure on prices and could signal a broader reshaping of homeownership patterns in the area. And you would agree with that then, based on your statement and what people might be seeing in the market right now for a home as they shop around?
Most certainly. And this might intensify as the buyout deals start to wear off later in the summer, and people don't have the income coming in from the package that they negotiated with the federal government. There might be more properties coming on the market. I think it's going to take potentially 18 months to work itself through our marketplace. But there are some silver linings to what's going on right now. The rates have come down nicely in the last couple of weeks. The price of oil is coming down, and that's helping interest rates. Consumer confidence is bouncing back from the shock it got from Liberation Day and the tariff talk in early April. And let's see, the Congress is negotiating greater deductions for state and local taxes in the bill that they're negotiating. So these are all good pieces of news for buyers and sellers to keep the real estate market chugging along.
And you're the expert on timing. This is your bread and butter every day. Based on all of these elements, any specific timing for when it might be best to both list and buy based on those factors?
So our market, for a traditionally strong spring market, April into mid-May really froze up because the stock market took a 20% hit and people just lost confidence because of the tariff talk. But now stocks are hitting new highs and consumer confidence is coming back. And so I think for sellers, this is now the best time to put the property on the market. For buyers, they're going to be good deals, particularly properties that have been on the market for over 2 or 3 weeks, but also later into the year when historically inventory drops a little bit and demand drops a little bit. I think that there are going to be some very good deals for buyers really throughout the rest of the year.
Okay, Corey, your biggest takeaway, last question, when it comes to the housing market right now, what do people need to remember and keep in mind?
Don't throw in the towel. You know, markets go up and down. There's always something, there's always a reason not to sell a house or not to buy a house. But decade over decade, investing in a property, if you can commit to it for 3 to 4 or 5 years, buying and owning a property, A, gives you the best quality of life, and B, gives you the best return to build long-term wealth.
Corey Burr with TTR Sotheby's International Realty. Corey, thank you again for sharing your expertise and joining us here on 7 News at noon.
Thank you.
All right, take care.